Hey guys, just want to talk about long-term planning, particularly in relation to retirement. Now, why should we think about this? As I say, retirement's not really a Christian concept as such. You won't find it anywhere in the Bible. But Jesus himself in Luke 14:28 says, first, if you want to build a tower, what do you need to do? You need to sit down and count the cost. So long-term planning is important. It's biblical to plan for the long term and to actually plan for things you might need to do, like retirement, which often many of us are forced into due to ill health, getting old, and redundancy, not being able to work in the way that we used to be able to do. So having a long-term plan is critical. So what are the steps you need to take? Well, the first thing is plan for purpose. What is it you feel that God is calling you to do in retirement? What does retirement look like? Are you going to be serving more in your local church? Are you going to go on short-term missions? What's it retirement actually look for you on a day-to-day basis? In fact, I've got clients that say to me, when they're retired, they don't know whether they ever found the time to actually do any work because they're so busy in their retirement. And there are many awesome things we can be doing to run our race for Jesus Christ right to the very end. By having a plan for purpose for retirement. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to have a plan. So obviously that plan is built on a foundation of trusting in God for his provision, but we also need to practically plan. So have a structure for savings for the long term to save towards retirement. That's important. We also need to take out protection along the way, such as insurances, to make sure that if something happens to us along the way, our retirement plans, our family plans, and all those things aren't thrown into jeopardy. That's a sensible thing. That's not a lack of faith issue. That's a sensible, practical thing to do. And of course, the big thing is being able to be generous both today on the way towards retirement, so giving generously whilst you're working towards retirement, but then also being generous once you are retired. We don't want to turn all our giving off all of a sudden just because we've retired. So there's all these sort of practical things. Of course, step 3 would be once you've got your savings sorted out, we need to then look at how do we invest that money. So have a bit of an investment plan as to what you're going to invest in towards retirement. And then lastly, what I would call a generosity plan. How are you going to keep living generously? How much are you going to keep sowing into God's kingdom along the way as you're saving towards retirement, but also continuing it in retirement? As I say, we don't want to just stop giving just because we're retired. So there you go. There's a couple of points on how you can plan for retirement. God bless. Hope that helps. And for more information, don't forget to check out our website, wealthwithpurpose.com. Lots of great tips on retirement and so forth.